It's so interesting to get both of your insight and to have two owners and founders of clubs. And you've both got very similar stories, but also totally different. Marc, just for some people who might not know the story of Dorking, would you be able to take us through how you founded the club and how you've grown it since then?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it brief. I mean, me and my friends followed Wimbledon. We stopped doing that. We started playing football on a Saturday in Step 17. Park football, Division 5 of the Crawley District Park League, and where you had to provide your own referees. We've had 12 promotions since. Built essentially 2 grounds along the way with our bare hands, literally, no benefactor, just hard work and effort. And that's it really. So we've had this. We've kind of. We've become sort of like this kind of underdog story, really, that people get behind because they know it's kind of a real authentic one. Been fortunate, and then it's been documented along the way. That we've fallen onto that, whereas Spencer's an educated version of that, and we've really fallen on it, and we don't make the best of that at all compared to where we should. So that's our success.
And just to outline for people, your current role at the club, you are owner and manager. Is there anything else alongside as well?
No, I mean, we've got a really big infrastructure now. We're pretty much full time now. I still manage. I was a player manager. I was just collecting £5 subs off of people and putting the nets up, and I've always done it basically. So I still continue, and I do enjoy it. I love it, you know.
We wouldn't do it. There's so much.
Can I ask you, because Spencer, you were also manager of Hashtag.
I was manager, but I was manager when we weren't even in an official league. We weren't even in Step 17. We were a made-up YouTube friendly game, so I was never under any scrutiny. I also had a ridiculous setup whereby we'd made this sort of virtual league for ourselves, where we were playing for points, but the opponents weren't. So it couldn't have been a better setup to win games of football. But I've admired what Marc's done for many years, and I think that, you know, often, especially in countries like America where they don't have the promotion system, they talk about the ability to climb up, and they're always really looking at the Wrexham world and going from National League to whatever. But what Marc's done is actually, I think, so much more impressive, because you're taking a club from, you know, relative obscurity that no one would have paid any interest to for many years, and you've had to be the absolute, you know, fire behind it to getting it to this really incredible level. I think it's like record amount of promotions any club's had, I think. And
12 in 23 years.
And the dream isn't over, right? Like, if you can make it make sense, you can keep going. And it's such an amazing thing that we have in this country. We have to protect it. And it is getting harder, though. The gap is getting bigger between the richer clubs.
When were Dorking first on your radar?
Oh, I think when we started looking, I've always been in and around non-league, so, you know, my dad was always involved in non-leagues. I've always paid attention to it. But certainly when we started looking at going into non-league and we were looking at all these different case studies, you know, we were much more fortunate than Dorking, whereas we were able to enter in at Step 6, that we cut out a lot of that legwork that they had to do for a multitude of reasons. But so we were looking at case studies there of like FC United of Manchester, AFC Wimbledon when they were reformed. But we were also looking at what's possible. So having something like that journey there documented that we can see and go, oh, right, these guys have gone from that level to that level, it is physically possible. And we knew, you know, we had this fan base that could power us and help us generate revenue to, you know, get these promotions. But it's so important in life in general, whatever you're doing, to have case studies of make you feel like can be done. We had a lot of stuff that we had to make up along the way in terms of the sort of social media side of the club. But in terms of the football side, Dorking example is right there for us to see it can be done. So would we even be where we are without Marc doing it at Dorking? I couldn't say we would have. I might have said, let's not join the pyramid and let's keep doing YouTube stuff because it's going to be too hard. It's a massive
there we go. Yeah, huge inspiration. I just want to go back to you having that role as manager as well, Marc, because as we know, non-league is getting more and more competitive. Your achievements as a manager have been absolutely incredible, as we've already said, broken records in terms of promotions. Out of interest, though, if you were to you know, go back up again and potentially be close enough to be able to move up into the Football League, what an unbelievable achievement that would be. What level would it have to get to? What point would it maybe have to get to where you potentially thought, as owner of the club, maybe we'd need to move on? Or would you not want to let go of that manager role?
No, for me, it's just always been down to if the resources behind it essentially outweigh the performance, then I'm not doing the best job I can for the club. Ultimately, I'm the biggest supporter of the club, the biggest fan, the biggest shareholder, everything. So I can never hold it back. I mean, in our first season in the National League, We finished 16th, training Tuesday, Thursday nights. We beat Notts County. We beat Chesterfield. You know, like we were about 8-10 points off the playoffs. We outpunched our weight. You know, last year we got really unfortunate. So I think for me, I would know if the resources sort of outweigh the achievements, and that's when I'd make that decision. That's the bottom line.
And also, I really want to ask about the internet and social media presence of both clubs, because obviously yours, Spencer, speaks for itself, not just obviously in the name of the club, but just how much of a following you do have. And we've spoken before, haven't we, about how your following is almost spread across the country and the world as well. But also Dorking, massively making a name for themselves on social media. You often see clips, they're usually humorous ones as well. Was that all part of the strategy with Dorking, Marc, or has it kind of come as a happy coincidence?
Yeah, exactly that, really. I mean, obviously, I think what Spencer's done's remarkable, because anyone can do it per se, but you still have to have the story, and you still have to make your idea and your mechanism better than everybody else. You know, Spencer was in there at the forefront of it. He made it better than everybody else, created his own story, his own journey, his own strategy. There's 1,000,001 people trying to push stuff out on social media, but like anything in life, there's average stuff out there, right? We were just fortunate. I mean, a guy turned up and said, my mate reckons you're a bit of a character in the changing room. Can I record you for a game? Literally, it started as a game, and I was like, I don't really care. And that was how it started. And then, I mean, I'm not on any social media, to be honest with you, and I'm probably a bit uncomfortable in general with like what goes out there in general, but I understand it helps the club's profile.
Do you vet any of it before it goes out?
Yeah,
you do.
I'd be banned. I'd be banned from everything, really. The government would come round, probably. Yeah.
But do you seriously, you don't actually engage with it? You just kind of let the club do what they want with you know, they know they've got an absolute character and real charismatic person as the owner and the manager of the club, but in your eyes, you just let them get on with it. It's not something that's driven by you. So.
No, not at all, not one bit. I mean, the guys have been asking me for donkeys to do more. You know, we're now thinking about like a podcast and stuff like that for me and things. But the thing is, first and foremost, I'm just a football person, and I think that's what people understand from it. And we get people, it's unbelievable. I'm sure Spencer gets this as well, but like I go to home games, honestly, and we had it last week, and someone would go, hi, you know, we've come over from Australia for this game. And I'll go, yeah. Are you visiting someone and you've come? No. We've just come to see your game. And we get it every single game. America, Australia. Last Saturday, we had a whole 20 lads from Belfast, a load from Glasgow. And what they love about the consistent theme is, you know, I stopped watching football. I weren't interested, but we just like the story. And we like the fact we can get that close to the action and things. So I really do see the benefit for the club and what it does.
Given that appeal, and as Marc says, I'm sure you've had very similar situations with that, given the global appeal of hashtag as well. How important, though, do you think an online presence and social media is for a lower league club now in order to drive that engagement?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I get asked that a lot, and people say sort of like, how do we do another hashtag or whatever? Like, I think timing is such a big part of it. Yeah. Like, we were one of the first to sort of try this, and I think our name, as much as we talked about last time, is divisive. It's also achieved a lot for us because it's made us, you know, noteworthy, if you like. I think you've got to be doing something different. I think what happens often is you get sort of a generic non-league club, and they'll see what Dorking are doing, they'll see what hashtag are doing, oh, we need to do that, and they just think they'll get someone with a camera and film it, and it all just falls into place. Exactly. You have to have something that makes you stand out. So in Dorking's case, you not only got an incredible sort of underdog story, you've got a very, you know, charismatic manager and owner. And we have to, as a fan watching that content, we have to protect that. Because like in football, it's just coming out of the game. Like, you just haven't got the personalities. If you're just a manager, a jobbing manager, needs to get the next gig, you can't stand out from the crowd. You haven't got any Brian Cloughs anymore, have we? Like these sort of characters. Marc's probably one of the last bastions of that. What's great about it is no one can sack him either. People joke about that, but like, imagine having someone else, like what he's done for the club. in charge. No one's ever going to care as much as he does. And I feel the same. I'm not in the manager role, but I sort of feel the same about myself. And even our manager, he's been our only manager. You know, we got him on board very early on. So like the affection that we have for him and what we're doing is way beyond the classic like carousel of managers moving constantly. And I think we've got to protect that in the game. But the social media side, it's very hard to just copy and paste. You've got to, I would say to someone like, if you're trying to do a hashtag or a Dorking, like, don't look at us and rinse and repeat. You've got to think, right, what they did was different, it stood out. What's my version of that? And it's probably nothing like what we do. It might not even be on social media. It might be a platform I haven't even heard of yet that they're cutting edge on, and that's what will make them stand out. I mean, we played Real Bedford women's team in the National League Cup on the weekend, so they're doing something different because they're this whole like Bitcoin inspired team. You should get Peter McCormack on here for sure. He's got one of the biggest Bitcoin podcasts, and he's just raised millions of pounds for what is currently a fourth tier women's team and a fourth tier men's team, I think. So step 4. To make this sort of Bitcoin inspired team, something completely different to what we do. I don't understand that world, but I get why they've got a niche and why all the people in the world that are into this Bitcoin stuff are going to support that team now. So that's a movement, and that's the sort of thinking you've got to do.
I'm going to ask you both the same question. I'll start with you, Spencer. Where do you think that hashtag, both the men's and the women's team, will be in 5 years?
Well, it's a really good question, and there's 2 phases to it. So, like, in terms of what I can achieve as someone who's still the majority owner of the club, you know, we need to get a ground. Me and Mark were talking about it earlier. Like, regardless of any promotions or anything, the ground is the most important thing. It allows us to add the sort of traditional football revenue model into the club, which we don't get as a ground share. So, if you said to me in 5 years we'll have a ground and we're at the same levels we're at, I'd be buzzing with that. I think that's really good. I'm really happy with the levels we're at. I think we can sustain there. You know, like Mark said, no clubs make money, but we actually make sense financially. So I don't want us to ever not make sense. I know that you can fly too close to the sun, can't you? You can say, oh, technically we might be able to get to that league, but what shape are we in? We need to grow attendances because we have this amazing online support, but we don't have it in the home games. We talked about it last time. We have this highest average away attendance in the league, but one of the lowest home attendances. It's a very strange model. We've got to improve that bit. Phase 2 would be if someone else comes in and a group of people understand what we are as a club and understand our potential and invest in that, and we build out closer to what Dorking are doing, you know, get into sort of full-time, trying to get that a few levels higher, but not for the sake of getting there, for the sake of making sense there, building out the model. And we talked about it last time, could we then look at doing something similar in other countries? That would be amazing, but it's not something we'll achieve with me in charge only because I haven't got the pockets deep enough.
Might they go to other countries, though, in the future? Is that something you would think about in the future?
I think that is, you know, if you want to build a pie in the sky, best case sort of future for the company, if you like, of Hashtag United, it is having a load of hashtags in different countries with different versions of me in different countries. We understand the social media side. We almost create a Bible of how to do things, and we have that in a multi-club network model, and all the sort of shared resources you get from that apply, but you also get this content thread. And I think we could be one of the first multi-club networks that people support. Like, no one supports Citigroup, do they? They're trying to get them to do that, but they don't. They support Man City, or they support Melbourne, or they support New York City. But hashtag is like a philosophy of people that they might even have other clubs they support, but they would get behind our journey, and that part of that journey and that content narrative could be the expansion of the club. So that's something I'd love to do, but yeah, it's a very expensive game. So we'll see if someone else out there believes in that idea.
Mark, we know there's going to be a pre-season tour of Australia at some point, of course, with all your huge fan base out there that come to the games and stuff. But what about Dorking? Where do you think they'll be in 5 years?
Well, in the Football League, that's the plan. I don't see that being a huge challenge, really. I think we've had bigger challenges, to be quite frank. I think to build a club from scratch, bottom up, and dig 300-metre trenches for water pipes, literally, and build clubhouses, and God knows, you know, now to get a bunch of full-time footballers to finish in the top of a league is easy by comparison. But it's all off the field as you get to this level. The stadium, the infrastructure, the support of the local authority is really key. Everybody needs that. As we've gone higher, I never realised, you always assume that the likes of Oldham Athletic would just have their own ground, or York City, all these big clubs, but they're all in an authority ground and relying upon the local authority to give them a peppercorn rent. It's incredible. And so, yeah, we need the continued support of our local authority, but we're aiming for the Football League. We are winging it in part, always, but also leveraging the amount of support. We started a fan ownership scheme.
Yeah.
So we've now, and that was important to me because I know we'll come on to it, but protecting the club in the future. So we've seen so many clubs in England, Southend recently, where they've got owners that are, prepared to see the club go to pot. We've seen it with Macclesfield and, Bury. So we started a fan ownership scheme. We've now got best part of 900 invested people in that scheme that we can tap into, not just for support on a match day, but whether it's labour, whether it's further investment, whatever that looks like. And I feel like that's something we've really strategically done because we know, to Spencer's point, I can't keep doing it. We've got Jonathan, our new chief exec. We've got a board, but we need additional people to go forward if we're to sustain it.
Well, of course, good luck to both of you with all of it. I hope there'll be a League Two hashtag against Dorking.
FA Cup could happen.
FA Cup, there we go.
FA Cup.
Exactly, yeah.
I'd love that.
No replays though. What a shame.
Well, no, we probably would be because
Third round qualifying, yeah.